He had everything. A home, future, and a loving family. Then one night he placed a bet. Welcome to the Unknown Files X, where real stories, dark mysteries, and hidden truths are told. This is not just a story but a warning. Now let's window into a world that millions of people live in every single day. A world of risk and impossible hope. This is the life of a gambler. As you know, every gambler has a first time. Nobody starts out wanting to lose everything. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, "Today, I will destroy my life." It starts small. It always starts small. Perhaps from a scratch card, to betting with a friend. The later upgrades to going to a casino on a Friday night, just for fun. They will always say those three words, and they are the most dangerous words a gambler ever speaks. Richard was 24 years old. He had a decent job, a girlfriend, and he had big dreams. He was the kind of man people smiled at, the kind of man people trusted, the kind of man who seemed untouchable until one evening his co-workers invited him to a casino for one night just to see what it was like. Richard had never gambled before. He didn't know the rules, didn't know how to play the games. But he walked in, and something happened. The lights, the sounds, and the energy in the room felt like electricity was running through his skin. He sat down at a blackjack table, put down $20, and within 4 hands, he had turned that $20 into $200. He stood up from that table, smiling like a man who had just discovered a secret. Little did he know that smile was the beginning of the end. Here is something most people do not understand about gambling. When you win, your brain releases something called dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical, a natural chemical. It is the same chemical your brain releases when you eat your favorite food, when you fall in love, and when you hear a song that gives you chills. But gambling does something different, because with gambling, you never know when it's coming. Scientists call this a variable reward system. Think of it like a slot machine inside your brain. Sometimes you pull the lever and nothing happens, and sometimes you pull it and everything lights up. It is that uncertainty, that unpredictability that makes it so incredibly addictive. Richard felt this on that first night. He felt it deeply. He went back the next weekend, and the weekend after that. Then he started going alone. He stopped calling it just for fun. Now it was a strategy, a system, and a lifestyle. Richard started studying and reading books on poker. He watched videos online. He also practiced card counting. He told himself he was different and smarter from other gamblers. This is what every gambler tells themselves. The casino industry knows this and they count on it. Here are the truth about casinos. A simple, cold mathematical truth. The house always wins. Not sometimes. Not most of the time. But they always win. Casinos are not built on luck. They are built on mathematics, on probability, on the near certainty that over time the player will always lose more than they win. Richard lost his $200. He went back and lost $500. He told himself he just needed one good night, one big win to cover everything. That is the voice of addiction. Don't listen to it. It is not logic. It is a trap. And millions of people fall into it every day. Richard started lying. It was small lies at first. I was working late. I was with a friend. I lost my phone. Then bigger lies followed. He told his girlfriend the money in their account was for a surprise trip. He told his mother he needed to borrow money for a car repair. And told his boss he needed an advance on his salary for a family emergency. None of this was true. All of it went to the casino. This is what gambling addiction does to a person. It does not just take their money, but takes their honesty, their dignity, and the sense of who they are. Richard was becoming someone he did not recognize. Someone who looked in the mirror and felt a stranger looking back. Within 18 months, Richard had lost $40,000. Money he had saved for years. Money borrowed from people who trusted him. Money that was supposed to go toward a house, a wedding ring, and a future, all gone. Placed on tables, spun on machines, lost in moments that lasted seconds. But Richard could not stop still because the next win felt close. It always felt close, and that is the cruelest part of gambling addiction. You never feel far from a comeback. Before we go further into Richard's story, I need to stop and ask you something. Are you still with me? Because this story gets deeper. And it gets very real in ways that might surprise you. If you are learning something from this, please take 2 seconds right now. Hit that like button. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think so far. Maybe you know someone like Richard. Or maybe you've been in a situation like his. Drop it in the comments. We read and reply to every single one. And if you are new here and you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a story from the Unknown Files X. Share this video too, because someone out there might be saved. Richard's girlfriend found out some months later, not because he told her, but because the bank called. Their account was overdrawn by $3,000. The rent had not been paid in 2 months. She sat across from him at their kitchen table. She did not scream. She did not cry. She just looked at him and said these 3 words. "Who are you?" Richard did not have an answer, because somewhere between the poker tables and the slot machines, he had lost himself. She left that same night, took her bag and walked out of the door. Richard sat alone in that apartment, with no money, no relationship and no plan. And for the first time he cried. Not out of sadness but out of the terrifying realization that he was in a hole so deep, he could no longer see the top. According to research, gambling addiction affects an estimated 1 to 5% of the population in many countries. That sounds small? But think about what that means in real numbers. In a city of 10 million people, that is up to 500,000 people who are losing sleep, losing money, and losing relationships, all because of gambling. Let's talk about something most people never think about. The gambling industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and it is growing every single year. How is this even possible? Just because gambling is now everywhere. Before now you had to travel to a casino, put on nice clothes, walk through a big door. But now, it is in your pocket, on your phone, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Online gambling apps, sports betting platforms, online poker rooms, all designed to be fast, fun, easy and addictive because these platforms are built by teams of very smart people. Richard hit his lowest point at age 27. He had lost his apartment. He was sleeping on his brother's couch. He owed money to people who were beginning to lose their patience. One evening, his brother sat down beside him, not to lecture him, but sat there quietly and then he said something simple. "I don't want to bury you." Richard was silent for a long time, and then something cracked open inside him. Something that had been sealed shut for 3 years. He cried, this time differently, not out of shame, not out of self-pity, but out of the first honest thing he had felt in a very long time, the desire to change. Recovery from gambling addiction is hard. Let's not pretend otherwise. It is slow and painful. It involves setbacks. Richard sought for help. He found a gambling addiction therapist. He saw a therapist who specialized in behavioral addiction. He learned something there that changed the way he saw himself. He learned that gambling addiction is not a moral failure. It is not a weakness. It is a medical condition. One that changes the brain. One that rewires the way a person thinks and feels. This does not mean it is not the gambler's responsibility to get better, but it means that shame alone will never be enough to fix it. Understanding is where healing begins. Richard's story is one story, but there are millions just like it out there. People who look completely fine on the outside and people who are silently drowning on the inside. We live in a world where gambling is everywhere, where it is marketed as entertainment, as a way to win big and change your life. But the data tells a different story. The majority of people who gamble regularly will lose far more than they ever win. The gambling industry profits from that loss every single day. And the people who pay the price are real people with real lives, with families who love them, with dreams that deserve to come true. We are not saying gambling is always wrong. We are saying that for some people it becomes a prison, and most of them never even see the bars closing around them. If you are watching this, and something in this story feels familiar, please listen carefully. Here are some warning signs and rules of gambling. Gamble with money you can afford to lose. Telling yourself one more bet will fix everything is addiction. You should know when to stop. And borrowing money to gamble will make you more useless. Richard is 31 years old now. He has been gamble-free for 4 years. It has not been perfect. He replaced gambling with hobbies. Now he has paid back most of what he owes. He has a small apartment, a steady job, a sense of peace he had forgotten existed. His girlfriend never came back, and Richard does not blame her. But he made new connections. He rebuilt his relationship with his family. He started volunteering at the same support group that saved him. He sits and counsels people who look exactly like he did at 26, scared, ashamed, and convinced there is no way out. And he tells them the same thing his brother once told him. Not with fancy words. The life of a gambler is not the glamorous life you see in movies. It is not James Bond in a tuxedo at a casino in Monte Carlo. It is not a lucky stranger walking away with a suitcase full of cash. It is a person staring at a phone screen at 3 in the morning, placing one more bet and hoping this time will be different. It is a parent explaining to their child why there is no money for school supplies this month. It is a family member watching someone they love disappear. This is the real story and this is the hidden truth. And here we believe you deserve to hear it. Because knowledge is the first step to protection. If this video reached someone today, if it helped just one person see clearly, then it was worth every word. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. That means something to us. Please do well to hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps more people find this story. Drop a comment below and tell us what your thoughts are. Tell us if you know someone like Richard. Tell us your story. We are listening. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. So every time we drop something new, you will be the first to know. This is the Unknown Files X, and we will see you in the next one.